So, to sum up, the policies that the IRB has for class projects to make sure that we're going to be dotting our I's and crossing our T's and following those, I want to remind you they must meet all of these following criteria. This is not an or list, this is an and list. They must be projects where they're just designed for you to learn research techniques, not for you to generalize and really add to new scientific knowledge. Two, that everybody involved is under minimal risk. Three, that it's anonymous research. Four, that it will not be published or presented outside this class. So if you want to do that component, present or publish it outside of class, we do have to go through the IRB. That is possible for a handful of projects, but not for all of your projects. So please let me know if that's something you would be interested in doing, like presenting at the Lyceum on campus to get a new line to put on your resume. And your research must fall under those criteria for human subjects research exemption that I talked about in the beginning of the lecture. Let's talk about what the consequences are one way or the other, whether you follow these ethical guidelines or you don't. If you follow the ethical guidelines, you get better data and a better project. Good for you. That means a better chance of getting a good grade, and you can feel proud of what you've done. If you violate any ethical guidelines, for example, if you conducted an observational study where you recorded people, or you conducted an observational study of behaviors that are private and not accessible necessarily to the public, then you would be violating ethical procedures. If you gave out your survey when I told you not to, and you didn't get informed consent, or you're collecting non anonymous data, that is also research misconduct. Violating any of these guidelines are considered research misconduct, and it's taken very seriously like plagiarism. You can fail the assignment, you could fail the class, you could be reported to the Office of Research and Scholarship or to the Student Conduct Office. And even worse, my butt is on the line and the reputation of the university is as well. So you have to follow these ethical guidelines so you don't get kicked out of school and I don't get sued and the university doesn't get sued. Sound good? So we're going to follow the rules. Just a quick reminder of the pieces of these assignments you're going to do. They're going to touch on some of the stuff we talked about already in this lecture. For your observational projects, as far as the ethics and procedure, you are going to finish your city training before you can do data collection. If not every single person in your group has done city training yet, I will not let you start collecting your data. So that's why I've been pretty strict about this city training and making sure you were getting the ball rolling on it from very early in the semester. You also need at least two sources to back up your hypotheses that show up in your final presentation, and that's to make sure that you weren't wasting people's time and that you had a good reason to do the research that you wanted to do. You cannot collect any identifying information or do any recording of people. It's only going to be you writing stuff down on a checklist or in a journal. You got to make sure it's not embarrassing and that participants are not at greater than minimal risk meaning everyday life risks. On the other hand, for your survey projects, you're not actually conducting this one, remember, but you still need at least 10 sources to back up your hypothesis in your final paper. You're going to have a lot more time to do that because this project is after spring break. You will not even write any survey questions that ask about identifying information like name or birthday or anything else like that. You also will not write any survey questions that ask about sensitive or upsetting or triggering topics so that if you were actually to conduct this study, you wouldn't be putting participants at any greater than minimal risk. So even though you're not conducting this study, we still want to exercise these like research ethics muscles in your brain to make sure that you're thinking in that framework and learning how to be good ethical researchers. And I also want you to be able to have fun with these projects, okay? It's not just doom and gloom. Here's the consequences if you screw it up. I want you to go out there and be happy researching.